Next on AM 1480 WLEA, the Newsmaker Show. Here's Brian O'Neill.
Well, in segment 1, it's Eric Griffith from PCMag.com. In segment 2, Bill O'Reilly. Welcoming now Eric Griffith. Eric, thanks for joining us.
Happy to be here, as always.
Let's start out with a new Star Wars movie. I know you're a big Star Wars fan. It opens tonight at the Spotlight Theater on Main Street in Hornell. Your thoughts on this movie? And by the way, Eric, do you get to preview movies as part of your job?
I do not. I wish. If I could preview movies, it would be a whole different world for me.
You're mostly doing gadgets and new techie-type inventions. Well, before we get to those, what do you make of the new Star Wars movie?
Well, I mean, it looks like it's going to be another, fun time at the movies. It's going to remain to be seen how the fans really think of it. We don't know. There's a lot of mystery going into this about characters going to the dark side, characters staying on the light side, who's going to hook up with who, is C-3PO going to survive the whole time? I mean, we just don't know, and I'm in the dark along with everybody, and I'm trying desperately to stay in the dark and trying not to read any spoilers because the reviews are coming in all across the internet, and I really don't want to have anybody tell me how this film ends before I get a chance to get in there to see it.
You are a big Spider-Man guy. I did not see the most recent Tom Holland Spider-Man Far From Home movie. Your thoughts on it? Should I check it out on DVD?
Oh, you definitely should check them out. I mean, if you're any kind of fan of the Marvel Cinematic Universe, all that stuff with Iron Man, Captain America, the Avengers, that all culminated in the big Avengers Endgame from last April, then you definitely want to see these last two Spider-Man movies because they are part and parcel of that universe. The character is he owes a lot of his being Spider-Man to his interaction with Iron Man, played by Robert Downey Jr. And the actor who plays Peter Parker, his name is Tom Holland. He's fantastic in the part. He's as much like Spider-Man in the comic books as you could ask for, more so than the last couple of actors who've played Spider-Man in the movies in the last 15 to 20 years. And, I mean, that's what's really amazing is that we've had 3 different movie Spider-Mans since just the year 2000. So, I mean, that's kind of crazy, but that's Hollywood for you.
Who's your favorite Spider-Man? This guy, Tom Holland?
Oh, yeah. I'd say of them all right now, he's been the very best. And I mean, a lot of that comes from how well done the scripts are, how well they portray him, and the way the Marvel Cinematic Universe has handled him. I think that those other actors, I mean, Tobey Maguire's a great actor, fantastic actor. I think if he'd been in movies like this back in the year, 1999 or 2000 or whatever the first Spider-Man movie came out, it would have been very different. And I love that movie quite a bit. But this current Spider-Man is more like, I feel like he's the Spider-Man of my youth because he's out there, he's palling around with other superheroes, he's got his own adventures, he's got all of his problems at home, he's still got to live with his aunt, etc. You get to see a lot more of that in these current new movies.
Does the latest Spider-Man, does that beat the Electric Company's 1973-74 Spider-Man?
Oh, let's not talk crazy, because that's the Spider-Man that I grew up with. He was my first Spider-Man,
yeah,
and might arguably always be my best Spider-Man. Much like Adam West will always be the one true Batman.
Okay, back to Star Wars, Eric. You've got an article on PCMag.com on neat Star Wars toys.
Yeah, I'm lucky in that when I write these gift guides for the holidays, I don't have to necessarily stick to just the super high-tech stuff. We get to do some gift guides on various fun things, like I write a gift guide every year for fans of Doctor Who, which, by the way, will be coming back to BBC America for you to watch on New Year's Day. But before that, we have Star Wars, and, of course, I got to do the Star Wars gift guide, and arguably the biggest thing in Star Wars, at least, for the techie side of things this year, is the release of the new video game, Jedi Fallen Order, which is a big deal. It's on PCs, it's on the PlayStation 4, it's on the Xbox One, and the whole thing is about a Jedi that escaped getting killed after Episode 3, Revenge of the Sith. And and he's on the run. He's trying not to be tracked down by the newly formed Empire and the newly minted Darth Vader and all of his various evil minions. And you get to play this character of a Jedi just trying to stay alive and stay on the run. It's kind of like The Fugitive, but in Star Wars land.
And as far as last-minute Christmas gifts go, did you write anything about that topic?
I didn't personally, but we always have great gift guides on PCMag.com for that very thing. I believe one of my coworkers wrote a gift guide that is specifically for things that you don't have to buy or wrap. So if you take a look at PCMag.com and do a search on our gift guides, you'll find one, and it's all the gift cards that you can get. So you can get cards to help people pay for Netflix. You can get cards to help people buy stuff for Apple Music or pay for a few weeks of Spotify or all the various subscription services and the various things that are out there that people are paying a little tiny bit of money to every month, but adds up over the course of the year. Well, you can help alleviate some of that for people and help them out just by giving them a nice gift at Christmas time.
Talking to Eric Griffith from PCMag.com. We have Bill O'Reilly coming up in segment 2. Eric Griffith, what you write articles on the most watched shows on Netflix. What are people watching these days, especially in terms of holiday movies?
Well, Netflix has a huge amount of holiday movies. It's kind of shocking. Maybe it isn't so shocking considering that they spend literally billions of dollars every year to flood their service with all sorts of content. They don't really have any TV shows that seem to be too holiday-focused, but they have a lot of movies. I actually recently saw part of a new one called Claus that is like an origin story for Santa Claus that takes place, 400 or 500 years ago. Features a mailman who's sent to the Great White North who has to figure out how to set up a new post office and somehow gets involved with meeting the original St. Nick himself and has adventures to launch Christmas and turn it into a real holiday. And it's beautifully animated and looks fantastic. I was enjoying it quite a bit, and that's a Netflix original. You can only find it on that streaming service. And there are also a number of, they have, I think, one called The Little Prince, and they have various, romantic comedies set during the holidays. You can't really find a lack of holiday programming on those services. If that's exactly what you're looking for, you're going to find it, especially over on Netflix.
Talking to Eric Griffith. Eric, Carl Marino, who you remember from your class of 1988 at Hornell High School, just finishing up a TV show that he's been on for a number of years, Homicide Hunter, where he plays real-life homicide detective Joe Kenda. Wondering, have you been able to catch up with Carl at all and find out if he's got any future plans, or have you read anything on that?
I haven't seen Carl since I think it was our high school reunion a few years ago. I haven't had a chance to catch up with him myself, but I'm sure he's going to do very well.
Considering that he, didn't grow up doing it, he started out in law enforcement, and when I, checked out his work, I think, boy, he's awfully good. And you know what impresses me? I think his voice.
Yeah, some people just grow right into it, and then that seems to be what he did.
Yes, I just never saw that one coming. I remember in high school he would help out with stage shows and things like that in the behind-the-scenes. I
think what you were trying to say was that you and I, who were on the stage, should have been the big stars. Should have been huge in Hollywood, and you can't understand why Carl isn't on the radio talking about us. I think that's what you meant to say.
And I think what you think that I think is that being in Little Mary Sunshine and Dracula is paying our dues.
100% it was. Totally.
If I don't talk to you before December 25th, have a great Christmas, Eric.
You too. Take care, man.
All right, stay with us for Bill O'Reilly.
Selecting a nursing home for a loved one isn't easy until you've discovered Hornell Gardens Nursing and Rehabilitation. Hornell Gardens delivers the highest level of care, compassion, and commitment with amenities and activities that will enrich body, mind, and spirit. It's a place that's close to home. Stop in for a tour of Hornell Gardens, located at 434 Monroe Avenue in Hornell, or to learn more, call 585-222-CARE or visit hurlbutcare.com.
Checking in now with meteorologist Rob Carroll. And Rob, chilly temperatures this morning. Is it going to be like this Christmas Day temperature-wise?
No, Brian, it'll be a whole lot warmer by Christmas Day, and we're actually doing okay, believe it or not, in our part of the state because we've got some cloud cover drifting across the area that's originating over Lake Ontario and Lake Erie. It's acting like a blanket to keep us warm. And you go, oh, yeah, right, temperatures in the single digits are warm. Well, they're 12 below this morning in Saranac Lake, and it's 8 below right now up in Fort Drum to the east of Watertown. Those areas have been clear much of the night, and we're looking at temperatures right now just below zero, even around Glens Falls. So where it's clear, it's cold. Where we've got the cloud cover, we're doing a little better. We're going to keep those clouds around all day. It's due to the cold air streaming across the relatively warm waters of Lake Ontario and Lake Erie. In fact, we may squeeze out a flurry or a snow shower at some point today, Brian. Temperatures 20 to 25. We are getting to the point where the days are going to start to get longer. The winter solstice is coming up on Saturday. Sunrise this morning was at 7:35. Sunset tonight at 4:40. Tonight we'll keep clouds drifting from the lakes through the region. Lows overnight 10 to 15. Tomorrow, partial sun at times, a little milder, 25 to 30. Partly cloudy tomorrow night, 10 to 15. Or partly sunny Saturday, 35 to 40. And Brian, we could be talking about temperatures at 40 or above Sunday through Christmas Day.
Back on Newsmaker, we hear him every weekday at 11:45. So glad to have with us the author of many books, most recently The United States of Trump, Bill O'Reilly. Bill, thank you for joining us.
Hey, Brian, how are you?
Doing well. It's terrific to have you on our station, and thank you for calling in today.
Sure, it's my pleasure.
Bill, you've known President Trump for years, long before he was president, and you covered Washington politics for years. Have you ever seen a president treated this badly by the media and the Washington establishment?
The only president treated worse was Abraham Lincoln, and obviously that was because of slavery and the Civil War. But in modern times, presidents usually were criticized. That was, a given that the press would. But it was policy. It was, we disagree with Herbert Hoover because he did this, or we disagree with Jimmy Carter because he did that. But now it's personal. And they hate him, Donald Trump, because he doesn't need them. And I really lay it out vividly, Brian, in my book, The United States of Trump, how Donald Trump outsmarted the media in the campaign to get elected, and how the media resented that and now is turned on him. So your question is a good one. In modern times, no president has been attacked like this by the media.
Were you surprised that some on the right in the media and in politics went into anti-Trump mode almost right away?
No, because they're in Washington, D.C., you have to understand what the hierarchy is there. They all, Democrats and Republicans, associate with each other. They go to cocktail parties. They go to soirees. They go to the Kennedy Center honors, whatever it may be. And there are rules of civility. And the Republicans, George Will, these kinds of people, they see Donald Trump as a vulgarian. They see him as not playing the Washington game. And so, a segment of those people despise him. No matter how successful he is economically, no matter that he appoints Supreme Court justices that will uphold the original intent, they just don't like him. So that's in play, and I wasn't surprised to see it.
Our congressman for this area is Congressman Tom Reed. He's a Republican, and he said on this show that the reason that House Speaker Pelosi pushed for impeachment when Pelosi was really kind of waffling there is because of pressure from AOC. Do you think that Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez has that kind of pull over Congressman Adam Schiff or Congressman Jerry Nadler, or would they have been that way to Trump anyways?
I don't agree with him. I don't think Alexandria Cortez has any influence over Nancy Pelosi at all. I think the reason that the Speaker decided to go ahead with this is because the Democratic field running against Trump is so weak that the decision was made by the Democratic hierarchy. These are the money people, Schumer, these kinds of people, that we need to damage Donald Trump as much as we can, because we don't really have a candidate that's captured the imagination of the people. We don't have a Barack Obama or a Bill Clinton. So that's why I think it happened. Cortez is a minor figure, propped up by the media, so really a media creation, but she didn't have any juice in Congress.
You said last week on the Sean Hannity radio show on the Inspector General's report that no bias was found. Do you think there's any similarity between the idea of no bias found and what James Comey said about Hillary Clinton, that there was no bad intent? Your thoughts there?
My opinion, and I probably couldn't back this up in a court of law right now, although I think more stuff's coming. I think James Comey's a corrupt man. I think he abused his power as FBI director, and I think he was politically driven all the way. He's part of that crew in Washington, the social crew. And he wanted Hillary Clinton to be elected. He got a little scared that it would come back to him on the emails front, which was just a total farce. Everybody knows that. She did it. She violated the procedures of the State Department. There's no question she did it. The FBI didn't want to drag her in on criminal charges. They could have, but they didn't want to do it. And now we have the reverse. They wanted to get Trump, Comey, and McCabe. It's obvious they did. And I think this spring and summer, whenever the Durham report comes back, I think those guys are in big trouble. Again, I could be wrong, but if it were me and I was betting, I could see them being indicted.
If they are indicted, would it turn into another slap on the wrist punishment in the end?
It depends what their defense is. You got to give due process. I'm not one of these people that condemns on partial information, but from what I understand and from what I've seen, Comey and McCabe, they are either the two most incompetent civil servants in American history, or they allowed a political situation to injure Donald Trump. They allowed it. They had to know what was going on. So, to me, that's corruption. And I think that Barr and Durham, the investigators of the Justice Department, are going to get it.
Peter Strzok, do you think his higher-ups knew about the snobbish attitude that he had, talking about the smelly Walmart people that like Donald Trump? Do you think his higher-ups knew that about Peter Strzok?
No. I think Strzok's texts to his mistress were private, but I think that the culture at the FBI was that Trump was bad and he has to be stopped. I think the culture was that. Now, how explicit it was, I don't know. But I don't think they knew about his private text. They would have put a stop to that immediately. That's crazy.
You talked about how no fair-minded person really could believe that one agency could make that many mistakes. 17 mistakes during the Russia collusion. That was just not believable to you.
Correct. You have to understand that these guys at the FBI are well-trained, and to get promoted into these positions of authority, they can't be idiots. They've got to have a level of intelligence. And so you're telling me that there's 17 egregious mistakes in seeking a FISA warrant in the most important case since 9/11? Nobody can believe that.
Trump, before becoming president, was not thought of as a conservative by a lot of people. He was at a TV show on NBC. Who thought of Donald Trump as a big conservative? Do you think that the far left might have bullied Trump into becoming more conservative than Trump originally would have been on his own as president?
No, I don't think it was the far left that did that. I think that Donald Trump has never been, again, I'm going to go back to the United States of Trump, my book, he's never been an ideologue. He's never been interested in conservative or liberal causes, ever. Politics is just a practical way for Trump to advance himself. He doesn't have that core belief system that some Americans do. But what happened was that he saw that his supporters were almost all conservatives. So therefore, he began to take positions, conservative positions, to please his supporters, which he desperately needs. And I think that's what happened.
Bill, you've spoken on your daily commentary about the attitude from some on the far left that if you don't hate Trump like we hate him, we're going to hate you back. We'll hate you too. Do you have any thoughts on where does this widespread attitude come from?
The attitude of hatred, unfortunately, in America is fostered by the media, Brian. So, yes, you got nuts on both sides. You got crazy zealots on the left and the right. We all know that. But that's a very small part of the country. But when you have night after night, day after day, cable news and network operations that put people on who spout the most horrendous things, whether it be about Donald Trump or Barack Obama, the birther movement, or whatever it may be, then you're driving that hatred. And you're mainstreaming it. You're making it okay. And Comcast and Disney and Fox, they've all allowed that because they make money from doing it.
We have to let him go. Bill O'Reilly, I want to thank you so much for taking time out of a busy schedule. Bill O'Reilly, longtime commentator, author of many books, the latest, The United States of Trump. Bill O'Reilly, thanks so much for joining us, and have a great Christmas.
You too, Brian. Anytime. I enjoyed it. Thank you.